morning students, welcome to another lecture on microprocessor and microcontrollers. In the previous sessions we have discussed about the interfacing for 8086. In this session we are going to discuss about the memory segment of 8086. As we all know that the physical memory of 8086 is 1 MB of memory, and this complete memory is divided into some chunks or some segments, and these chunks are also called as segments, and such memory locations are called as segmented memory, and the process of dividing these segments is known as memory segmentation. So as we all know that it is 8086 of 1 MB of memory, and it is being divided into number of logical segments, and each memory segment is divided as 64 kilobytes and addressed by one of the segment registers, and these segment registers acts as a base registers, that is from starting address of the currently used segments. And what is the purpose or what is the uses of these segmentations? The segmentations allows the program to be loaded and run anywhere in the memory. Okay, so it allows the recomplication of program independently. That means it is possible to arrange the recombination of the program independently without any support, and it also allows the relocalability of the program. Wherever the program is there, it is ready to relocate the program, and it is ready to run the program, and it lends itself to share the process. That means it lends means it starts itself to share the process, and also it shares its protection also, and it simplifies the handling of growing data structure. That means in order to if the segments is more, that means if the program what we need to execute is more, then we are going to share the data itself, and it also, which instance also reduces the number of bits that are required to address the number of locations. And as I have already told you about the types of memory segments, in our architecture we have core segment, data segment, extra segment, and stack segment. Core segment, which is used to store the code. Data segment is used to store the data. Extra segment and stack segment are the devices or the segment registers which are used to store the temporary memory. And in order to calculate, as we know that the physical address of 8086 is a 20-bit, and we have only 8-bit, and this the remaining 4 bits are called nothing but offset address. It is nothing but effective address. In order to calculate the physical address, as I have already told you in the previous classes, physical address is equals to effective address plus segment address. This may be any segment among these 4 segments. Okay. So coming to the system bus of 8086. What is a system bus? So address or data bus are multiplexed in order to gain the maximum utilization of the processor pins. As we have already known that in 8086 we have 40 pin. It is a DIP, dual inline package. That means some of the pins we are using, for example, from AD0 to AD15, we are using those 16 pins for both address as well as data transfer. It also depends upon the mode selection. So here it is a 8086 is a 40 pin dual inline package, as I have already told you in the pin diagram, and demultiplexing of address and data can be done using few latches and trans receivers. So demultiplexing of address or data, that means whether on those 16 pins we are sending address or data depends upon the latches and transceivers. Sometimes these latches and transceivers are used to interact or interface with the external devices, and the process here, see here, this is the timing diagram of 8086. So here we have the process of a bus cycle consists of 4 clock cycles. As I have already told you that in order to execute an instruction, the processor requires 4 timing cycles, that is T1, T2, T3, T4 and T4. In between we have a TW, that is a T1 cycle, see here, T1 cycle, T2 cycle, T3, T8, T4, again memory read cycle, memory write cycle. See, as you know here, this is a clock pulse and this is address latch enable. ALEP is nothing but address latch enable. So this address latch enable means if it is high, then it will be high during the T1 clock cycle. As I have already told you in the class, T1 clock cycle. T1 clock cycle means it enables the address bits. Okay, it enables the address bits. So during the T2 clock cycles, this section or this instruction will enter into a tri-state buffer. That means in order to read or write the data. So see here, address or data in T1 clock cycles, we are enabling address location, that is from A0 to A15, and during the T2 cycle it is tri-stating. It is in a tri-state module and it is acquiring data which needs to be transmit or receive. So during T3 and T4 state, we are going to transmit the data, or we are going to read the data, or we are going to write the data. So what is the purpose of TW state? Whenever the processor says that hold, that means the data is not ready, then it will enter into this TW state, that is a wait state. After executing or after receiving the data, then it will continue to transmit. See here, in TW state means it will hold the data. It says that I am not ready. That means the data is not ready to access. After that, it again starts its transmission of data up to T4 clock cycle, and this repeats. Okay, see here, address or status pins. This is A16 to A19 higher offset address, and S3 to S7, as I have already told you about these status pins. So here a read /RT complement / interrupt acknowledgement. Here we are reading the data. Whenever this bit is low, then the processor is going to read the data. And ready state, wait state, ready state. See here, wait state, ready state. It means until and unless it stays or it accesses or it accepts all the data, it will be in a wait state, and whenever the data is ready to transmit, it enters into a ready state. Here data transmit or receive. Here we are reading the data, that means we are receiving the data. That means whenever this pin is low, then the data is been received, and then whenever this pin is high, then we are writing the data or transmitting the data. Here this is data enable. That means here whenever the bit is low, we are allowing the data to enter into it. Okay, a write bar, whenever this bit is set to 0, then we are going to write the data. That means we are going to access the data. So what is the use of wait state? So what is the use of this wait state? It is used to reduce the energy consumption of a processor. Okay, and by reducing it, and also by reducing clock, it keeps the processor core cool and extends the battery life. Okay, and coming to the memory interfacing with 8086 microprocessor, what is the meaning of interfacing? Interfacing is nothing but connecting with the other devices in order to execute a particular task. Here we are connecting most of the semiconductor devices to a microprocessors. The reason behind this is to allow 8086 to read from and to write in the semiconductor memory devices. So we are accessing the data, or we are transmitting the data through microprocessor, that is 8086. So mostly static RAM and electrically erasable programmable read-only memory are interfaced for reading and writing in first and reading in the next. That means here we are interfacing mostly with SRAM, static RAM, and EEPROM in order to first read the data and then writing the data, reading and writing in the first and reading the next. First of all, we are writing the data and we are reading the data in the next time, and the time taken for reading from memory and writing to the memory must be less than the time taken to perform a read and write operation within the processor. See here, the most important thing is time. We are, in order to reduce the time and in order to improve the efficiency of calculations, we are designing this type of microprocessor. So see here, in order the time taken for reading from memory and writing to memory, reading from the memory and writing to the memory is much less than the time taken to perform read and write operation within the processor. That means extracting or transmitting data to the other devices is much less than when compared to the processor operation within itself. And a specific memory IC selection should be done using chip select signal. A specific IC selection must be done. So in order to perform the task, what type of IC we need to choose? Okay, for example, if you people are buying a brand new cricket bat, then what you are going to see the features? Is it a English willow or a Kashmir willow, or what is its brand? So that in that mode we need to check whether it lasts for a long time. In the same sense, we need to select a specific IC that is being done through a chip select signal, and additional control signals must be generated to indicate the read write operations with the interfaced memory. Additional control signals. So if there is no additional control signals, then the system will go on in a regular fashion. But if it is done, then it won't be existing or it won't work very fastly. So some additional signals must be generated to indicate the read write operations within the interfaced memory. So next one, coming to the next one, each memory location must be given to a specific address. Specific address means, why? Because in order to extract or in order to get the data from the address or registers, it should be stored in a specific location so that the accessing will be done very easily. At a given time, 1 MB of memory can be accessed by the microprocessor due to the 20-bit address bus. The processor can even access memory locations less than 1 MB. So whatever the data what we have present, what we have stored in the processor will be accessed, that is up to 1 MB due to the presence of this 20-bit address bus. So we can access less than 1 MB also by using this 20-bit address. So depending upon the application, the size of the program and data memories can be changed. It's a very important thing. Depending upon the application, the size of the program and the data memories can be changed. We are not going to use a complete 2 GB of or 1.5 GB of a DVD for the sake of 2 KB file. So I think if you can understand, we need to waste the memory, and the memories EEPROM and SRAM are neither mutually exclusive nor independent. Moreover, the number of EEPROMs and SRAMs are also not independent. That means these are not dependent. These are all dependent, not independent. These are all dependent. Okay, coming to the next one, any number of EEPROMs and SRAMs can be interfaced depending upon the requirement. If we are needing, or if you need a huge amount of data or huge amount of instructions, then any number of SRAMs and EEPROMs can be interfaced. RAM and EEPROM cannot be located in a constructive memory location. Even and odd memory banks can be selected using bus high enable and A0. Suppose, as I have already told you, that the memory is being divided into even bank and odd bank. Okay, so this is not located in a constructive way, that means a pattern. So this has been divided into even bank and odd bank. Whenever the data is being stored at wherever the location may be, the data will be fetched, okay, by using VHE and A0. A decoder must be used to decode address, as 8086 has only 20 address bits, but the interfacing devices can be more. So interfacing devices has to be more. Why? Because in only a microprocessor cannot do everything, so the interfacing devices has to be more in order to extract the data. Generally, generally 3 steps are involved in interfacing memory. They are chip select, register identification, and specific buffer enable. Chip select, what type of IC we need to be select, what type of chip we need to be chip select, and register identification, where we are going to store this one. For example, if you need to store the result, we're going for AF register. So specific buffer enabling. So in specific, we are, in order to consume power or consume memory, we need to access, or we need to go through these 3 steps for interfacing and for interfacing with other devices, and to perform the task within a less amount of time.